Hi everyone. So it's been a while. So today I would like to do a little series about ACE3 controllers on ACE3 controller replacement on iPhones. So why on iPhones? The obvious reason is that the iPhone only has one ACE3 controller, whereas the a MacBook has three or four controllers, which makes it like a more difficult problem to approach, because when we want to understand how to replace these chips, question natural questions will be, oh, so if they have the same number, can we replace them? This is one of the questions that we have. If they do they have to come from the same model? Do they have to come from the same model and same position, etc.? So these questions are irrelevant on iPhones because the iPhone only has one, so there's only one position, and basically what we want to know is, can I swap? So for example, here I have an iPhone 15 Plus, and this is what I'm going to use as a guinea pig. Can I use an ACE3 from a 15 Plus? Is it gonna work? And then can I use an ACE3 from a 15? Is it gonna work? 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, 16, etc. So this is obviously much easier because there's only one controller and one position. So this is the first reason, easier to approach. Second reason is cost. Acquiring a working MacBook that has an ACE3 controller, so these are like 2 years old, it is very expensive. If you want to get just a working board, that will be most likely iCloud locked. This will net you in the like 100 to 300 euros. And of course, you will need at least two of those in order to do your swaps. So cost is a major issue. However, like I was recently able to acquire a working 15 Plus iCloud locked for 100 euros. And the important thing about this one is that the parts inside are original. And this is going to be relevant later on in this series, especially the fact that the screen is the original screen. So this is cheap. And donor boards, well, I was able to acquire all these donor boards. There's maybe like 6 of them for 15 euros a piece. There are some that come from 15, some from 15 Plus. So these are cheap, and therefore it's easier to do research on these devices, just because I don't have infinite funds. And the third reason would be that there is a lot of, how should I say, like misinformation about these operations in the repair community. Or maybe I didn't look hard enough, but right now, every single day, if you look on any Facebook group or like repair group that is dedicated to logic board repair, you will have every single day a person who's asking, oh, I got, say, I have this iPhone 16. The ACE3 controller is defective. I have to replace it. But oh, I don't have a 16 donor board, but I have a 15 donor board. Can I use my ACE3 from the 15 in order to replace the defective one on the 16? And oh, do I have to replace the ROM also? So every single day you have questions of these types, and like the answers are usually very muted, or you will have someone who thinks they know what they're doing and they will say, oh yeah, sure, you can do it. But what I'm going to show is that this is actually not completely true. And if you want a fully working device, these chips cannot be just swapped like that. So, and I guess where this misinformation comes from is that most probably people don't do their own research. Like, people are lazy. They see someone who has some form of authority in the repair community who says, "Oh, you can do this," and then they just believe it, and then they repeat it, and but they don't know better. So we're going to see that the problem is actually quite complex, and there are some swaps that you will do. They seem to work. Everything will seem to work, but in fact, if you dig a little deeper, it doesn't. There are big problems. So this is the third reason. So basically, what we're going to do, we have here a working 15 plus. We also have a working 15 plus board here, and I'm going to address a few things. And one would be, well, say, can I replace the ACE3 controller from this 15 plus using the one from this one, and is it still gonna work? Do I have to swap the ROM also, or can I just replace the ACE controller? Or are there limitations to just replacing the ACE controller? This is one of the first questions that's natural. The other one, which is natural, is okay, so once swapping between two devices of the same model, once this is addressed, then the next natural question is, can we swap between two devices of different type? So swapping between 15 and 15 plus. Does it work or not? And then there is a third thing that I would like also to address, which is going to be, and something that I've never seen anywhere. Nobody talked about this, but let me show you. So these are two ACE3 controllers, and the one that everybody knows about is the SN 2012-027. So it's that guy here. All right. So if you search on Google SN 2012-027, you will get tons of results. You will get people who sell you these chips on AliExpress, or you will get information about swapping them, which is, I believe, false. But there's this guy also. And this guy, nobody ever talked about it. That's the P2012-027 that you also find on iPhone. So this one comes from a 15 plus. This one here comes from the 15, from this 15 board that I just showed you earlier. And if you Google the P2012-027, you get absolutely no information. And I don't understand why this is the case, because it's not like these are rare. As I said, I purchased these like 5 or 6 practice boards or iCloud locked working boards. And out of these, or I purchased 5 of them. So out of these 5, 2 of them had the SN, and 3 of them had the P. And also using the serial number that I was able to read from these devices, they come from all over the place. They come from the US, and they come from China. So it's not like the P's are located in one specific region. They seem to be 2 different revisions of the same chip. And so the natural question is, can I say I get a device that has an SN, but my donor board has a P? Can I use the P to replace the SN? So we'll talk about this. And another topic that I'm going to also address is the ROM and the touch issue, because very early on, basically as soon as these devices came out, you've seen video reports of people swapping them and realizing that if you swap ACE3 without swapping the ROM, then most likely touch will not work. And more generally, in fact, if the ACE3 doesn't work, if it's defective, you are very likely going to lose touch on your device. So is that true or not? So I'm going to address this also. And yes, and also I said, yeah, and this is going to include the topic of the ACE3 ROM, whether it has to be replaced or not. The reason why this has become an issue of does the ROM have to be replaced or not is because lately you have these programmers that have come out for the 16 Pro that allow you to reprogram the ROM without having to separate the board, because the 16 Pro is done so that the ACE3 is accessible directly without separating the boards. However, the ROM is located inside the sandwich, which means that if you want to replace the ACE3 and you also want to replace the ROM, then you will have to separate the board. And that's why these programmers came out, because they allow you to reprogram the ROM directly from the outside of the board, without separating, just by running jumpers, because Apple provides you test points that talk directly to the ROM, and they seem very convenient. So do you have to buy them or not? I didn't look at the price, but so maybe they're cheap. I don't know. But the question is, do you have to buy yet another programmer just for this specific niche case of the 16 Pro? So we will also talk about this, about ROM manipulation, and I think that's actually going to be the first topic, because it's the easiest one to address. So hopefully I got you interested. I'm going to break this into multiple smaller videos. They will not be small, but they will be smaller than doing a whole big video on the subject. I hope that you will watch everything, because to me it is what I found is actually very interesting. And even if you do MacBook repair but you don't do iPhone repair, this should be relevant to you, because as I said, the iPhone is the simpler device that only has one ACE3. The problems that we discover on the iPhone will most likely also happen on the MacBook, but it will be even more complicated because we have 3 or 4 of them on device. So MacBook repairs person who are not interested in iPhone, please watch. It should be interesting to you also. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.